you spend your entire life working to establish a reputation. And a lot of times it seems like people don't really acknowledge that. Certain people are so ignorant. I would argue that they are even ignoramuses to the point that they don't acknowledge who you are and what you have done in order to be in the position that you are in. They speak to you, they behave in a certain pattern that is very, very far below the standard of which you deserve. And to these people, I ask, who are you talking to?
That's a great question, Jose. So I think when people look at you, look at us, look at whoever, they have an assumption in their heads about who you are. You ever like seen those, maybe it's like a clip or something of people who like are very rich who impersonate being like homeless, and they'll, act homeless for a day just to like see how people react to them and whatnot. It's like that. People always look at what's directly in front of them and make their assumptions based off of what they see, right? And sometimes we could go to the gym and we may not have on our expensive watches, or we may not look like we're businessmen who have all these things going on because we're going to the gym. We don't have like super expensive workout clothes, because to us it's just, hey, we're just going to the gym to work out. I don't have to have a super fucking expensive fucking workout attire to go to the gym and lift some weights. So when people see us, they have these assumptions, and because they have these assumptions, they think that they can talk to us like we're lesser. And not even us, just people in general, like they're lesser, because they've created this bullshit story in their head about who you are, what you've been through, and what you've done. Now, the fun part about that is Jose and I kind of handle this kind of differently. So I like to play along with that and also let people think what they think. So then I can come about and put all the nice shit that I have on and go out, and then when they see me again, they're like, oh shit, wait, what do you do? We're like, yeah, you must have thought I was a fucking, I'm not gonna insert a job because somebody might have, but you might think that I was a bum, but turns out I'm not. So I like to do that, like to let people think what they think and then turn it on their head. However, Jose, he's more of, I don't want to say confrontational, but he likes to address it right then and there. And I do believe that both ways are completely justifiable, because especially when you've put in the work for something, you realize that you have the qualifications to talk about it and to stand up for it. So if someone addresses you incorrectly or presupposes that you're a type of person that you're not because of maybe how you look or where you're located, where you live, what you drive, all these things that really don't tell you too much about a person, I think that you have every right to correct them and tell them who they're talking to. Now, Jose, I feel like we've come about, a lot of scenarios where people have done this to us incorrectly and judged us inappropriately, or, not justly. So what are some of those encounters that you've had? I'd like for them to understand and know where we're coming from here, because I think that you've had more fun with these than me.
Is it story time?
I think it is story time.
By the way, that G-Wagon, like baby blue.
Yeah, bro, I saw that one like was it a day or two ago.
You want to add it to the list? Yeah.
Baby blue, or you want to change the color? What?
I mean, why limit ourselves to one?
You're right.
The baby blue is the ones for the babies who are blue.
There you go. Well, I'm not going to have a pink G-Wagon, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story.
Yes.
This is a very recent story. A very interesting individual has tried to multiple attempts to no avail make a reappearance into the scene that is my life. And the said individual has a very, very interesting assumption of who I am and how I am, which is outdated information based off of a 10-year period. It's damn near been 10 years, Austin.
Really?
Almost 10 years. So the assumption that this individual holds is a version of Jose from 10 years ago. Well, this assumption no longer holds true. And the funny thing is, this individual believes that they have the same pool and the same reputation, that they are dealing with the same Jose that they were dealing with 10 years ago. And let me give you an example. A said individual expects certain things to be a certain way. Say, said individual expects me to respond in a kind and appreciative manner to things that are not kind and appreciative in return. Well, newsflash. As time goes by, people change. And either they change for the better or they change for the worse. But the fact of the matter is that people change. So you have to adapt the way that you talk and receive other people. And when I say receive, I mean, how do you conduct yourself with their emotions and the way they behave? Because the way they respond to certain things is going to change because their preferences change, because people change. And again, if you're one of those geniuses in the comment section that says, oh, people don't change, they'll never change. Well, they do change. They just change for the worse. They get worse and worse and worse in the same negative direction. So to cut short, it's a chick, right? And this chick is basically like, hey, I'm going to behave this certain way, and then you're going to follow me and pursue me because that's how we used to do things. To which I quickly respond and abruptly make things clear to say, hey, I don't know who you're dealing with, and I don't know who you think you're talking to, but the little dog that you used to talk to is not the same one that you see today, because now you're dealing with a big dog. And if you deal with a big dog, you play with the big dog's rules. We don't play by your rules. This ain't a puppy. This is a full-ass grown dog. If you want me to respond how you want me to, you better get the man, because nothing is going to go how you expect it to go. Because why? Because I'm a big dog now. You don't put a leash on me. How do you deal with a guard dog, Austin? Do you pet a guard dog? Do you let it sleep on the bed with you? No, you literally piss it off. You starve it. You poke that motherfucker. You keep it in isolation so that when it needs to guard, it does its job well. You're not gonna train somebody else's guard dog. Ain't no mush in here.
Now, all the pet lovers and I don't know what is it, PETA and all that shit. It was a metaphor. He's not actually starving dog. We don't have a dog.
Well,
we have a vacuum cleaner.
Calvin
thing,
Clean.
We have a Calvin Clean though. So if that counts, then sue us. But
don't
actually. Please don't actually do that.
We don't want to deal. We don't want you to lose that bad.
Yeah,
and you're gonna lose a lot of money.
Yeah, you'd rather.
We're both gonna lose money, but you're gonna lose more.
Yeah, and then you're gonna pay us back what you want. But so yes. So one of the things that you begin to experience as you progress through your entrepreneurial journey and just life in general, your career, what have you, you begin to gain more experience in that specific domain. And I wouldn't say you go on to be a domain expert unless you actually do go on to be a domain expert. But the more experience that you have in that thing, the more credible and the more confident you are in speaking about it. And when that happens, certain things you are able to say and able to do that you weren't able to do when you were the underling, when you were the person learning, when you were the person that didn't have all the knowledge or as much knowledge on the subject. So as you start to grow and gain this knowledge in whatever your field is, then people probably have to speak to you differently, because they're not going to speak to you like a novice or like someone who's a rookie. They're going to speak to you as someone who is tenured and knows what they're doing. And if they don't, then that's the time for you to kindly remind them, because again, that person that they met however many months ago, however many years ago, is not the same person that you've grown and built up today. And since you took the time, since you took the months, the years, and sacrifice time with your family, with your friends, blood, sweat, tears, all that shit. Since you've been able to put that shit in and built up someone that you respect yourself, then other people should respect you that same way. And now, if you're someone who is doing this and you haven't done shit to earn it or deserve it, then you're not thinking correctly. You're not trying to go about it the right way. But if you're actually someone who's built up some type of status or some type of success for yourself, of course, I think that you should be able to correct people and remind people that who they're talking to is not who they think that they're talking to, because you've worked so hard to make you that you're looking at today. So once you realize that and truly start to believe this, other people should see that and believe it as well. So my personal story time for y'all is pretty similar to Jose's. Well, I'll go with another one. So we're in this nice apartment complex and whatnot.
Boy, this is a good one.
Yeah, we're in this nice apartment complex and whatnot. And there's been a couple of instances where people, certain people will maybe look at Jose and I and think, how did you guys get here? You guys don't look like us in here. You guys don't look like, you don't dress in all fucking, what's that shit called? The workout fucking.
Lululemon?
Yeah. You guys don't dress in fucking Lululemon and aloe and all that type of shit. I might be saying that shit wrong.
About? We're here because of daddy's money.
Exactly.
Like
there you go. Like, we don't look that way, And I've experienced certain things like that here. And certain people may say certain things where they may be like, what do you do? How'd you get here? Blah, blah, blah. And then you have to remind them who they're talking to. And again, Jose likes to address this more straightforward and more direct. But however, I like to have a little fun. When people do things like this, I like to go about saying what I've done, what I've been doing, what we've been doing in a very, I don't want to say roundabout way, but in a very subtle way that it doesn't make you realize that I'm really trying to overload you with all this information that you probably have no fucking clue about, which makes me seem like the domain expert, because I actually am a domain expert in this particular field that I'm talking about. And then you realize, oh, wow, I was completely wrong. And I love to get that look. I love to see that dumbass look on their face whenever they realize, oh shit, I thought I was talking to a pup, but I'm actually talking to a big dog. You know what I'm saying? So I like to do that and have that experience, because when you do that, you get to kindly remind people that, hey, you might have thought that I was this, but you might want to realize who you're dealing with, who you're talking to here. I may not look like one of your associates who's funded by daddy's money. However, I might go to the same country club as him and you may not even know.
And sell him cigars at the country club.
Exactly.
And various other novelties while we're there.
There you go.
I understand that a lot of people don't know why it's actually important to know who you're talking to. This falls in line with a lot of our previous podcast topics. Mind your tone, respect others, all kinds of things that we've talked about in the past. And also just being mindful of the person who's in front of you. I want to make something apparent to our audience, and that's there's really no reason to treat a lot of people the way that a lot of people treat them. And I'll put it this way. There's no reason to treat people negatively until they have proven you that you should be treating them in a negative way. And that can be summarized in one word: respect, or even common courtesy. Now, yes, I will snarl at people and glare at people, but most of the time it's in response to a certain behavior or attitude. Now, yes, it is true that the best revenge is not to be like your enemies, but also, in Alex Hormozy terms, the best revenge is absolute success. So it really just depends on what you prefer to do. But all in all, if Austin and I are sharing a hallway and we're walking, there's no reason for me to look at Austin any different than I would look at anybody else. until Austin has proven otherwise. If I laugh and point at Austin's shoes, well, then Austin has every right to punch the living shit out of me in the hallway. That's just a metaphor. He doesn't necessarily have the right to do so. But the fact of the matter remains that I failed to be respectful and show common courtesy. What business do I have laughing at your shoes? I don't know you. I'm a common stranger. It's a funny term, common stranger. But where did it become acceptable to treat people unrespectably?
I think it could also be a cultural thing, the way that you're raised and whatnot, because we weren't raised to.
You're right. People have daddy issues.
Exactly. We weren't raised to necessarily act like that. But a lot of these people here, they weren't taught
or they,
like that.
Or they weren't raised. They were pampered.
There you go. Difference. And then when you're looking at someone, you are taught to kind of go off face value because all the people that you're around are showy. And that's the thing about, do you know who you're talking to? It works in both ways. It works for, if you see someone and then you might think, oh, I don't really know what this person does. They don't seem like they're, on too much of stuff. But then you talk to them and then they turn out to be a fucking CEO or some shit. But it also works in the opposite direction, where a lot of these people, they're around a lot of showy people. And it's like, we talked about this, like luxury brands, they get majority of their sales from the middle class, not the high class. Why? Because the middle class likes to show off like they're the high class. And when you do that and when you associate with people like that, it makes them seem like they have more shit going on than what they actually do. So when you're surrounding yourself with people that are like that are very showy and that they, just like to broadcast all that they're doing to everyone to make it seem like they have more shit going on, and when you really get to know them, you realize that, oh shit, they're funded by their parents. They're on drugs. They don't have a job. They don't do this. People don't really like them, blah, blah, blah. Like you find out all this shit and then you realize who you're really talking to. So the more you find out about people, the more you understand who you're really talking to. And more often than not, people don't talk or don't like to find out who they're really talking to. They like to assume, which gets them in more trouble than actually having a conversation and finding out who and, what that person's about. And don't just look at it from a standpoint of, a guy that's dressed kind of bummy could be a millionaire or whatever. But think of it from a standpoint as, of like, hey, look, the guy that I might revere so much may not even be the guy that I think he is. So you have to realize who you're talking to, but also you have to remind people as well who they're talking to, especially if you put in the work to where you have the cachet to be able to do so. That was an aggressive ass.
I'm out here fighting for my life to not black out.
Oh, shit. See?
Now, what?
That's why I was saying, you gotta,
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Austin.
You're
right. Austin is right.
I didn't say anything. I said nothing.
What the heck was that? You missed it. It was the weird red truck. Oh. It was cool, though.
That was a great fat ass.
Actually, you can just watch it back on the video.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. It's so clear and crisp.
So I have something here based off of something I've said somewhere along the lines on one of the podcast episodes early on. And it's also it's something from Robert Greene about first impressions. And it's, don't judge others on their first impressions, but rather their actions. But your first impressions and your actions have to be aligned. And this is to say that I'm telling y'all that it's not just about how do people know who they're talking to. It's also about, do you know who you're talking to? Because it's easy to judge a book by its cover. You should never judge a book by its cover, but you are always being judged by your cover. That's the difference. So if it's the first time that I meet Austin, I shouldn't make any hard assumptions because I have to observe him. I have to see the patterns. I have to see the actions, because words are words, but actions speak louder than words. I don't trust words, and I don't trust impressions. I trust actions. That's what really counts, and that's what really matters. However, in your case, when other people are observing you, they're looking at both. And the impression is arguably more important than the action initially, before you geniuses come after me. And the reason I say that is because people will judge based on impressions. Always, always, always. And first impressions are indeed important, but you have to give people grace and understand that an impression isn't everything. But you have to understand that people aren't going to give you grace, and that your impression is virtually everything to them.
Very true. On that note,
The AM Club Podcast.
signing out. Mic check.
The AM Club Podcast.